Hey everyone, today we'll be working with React Native and I will be telling you something that I do in the beginning. I create a theme.ts file. That theme.ts file contains like color with transparencies, the indexes and spacing functions, which are really nice throughout the development and also saves you a lot of time in the end. So first of all, I want to wish you a happy new year. I hope that you already chose your theme for the New Year's Eve, and I hope that you had a 2022 really cool and nice, and I hope that you enjoy the 2023. Happy New Year. Okay, cool. Let's start. So here you see that we have the default application that gets created when you first create a React Native app, and it's loaded on both of them. So we have the Welcome to React Native for Android and iOS. But if you take a look into the default code, the sample application has some margin top 32. So these values are all hard coded, right? The font size is also hard coded. The font weight is okay because if you take a look into the font weight, inside that you know that these are the types allowed, so you will never miss them, right? You can only allow these types, so you are safe on that side. But the font size itself, for example, if you take a look into the font size, you will know that it's a number. So yeah, you can also put a negative number and it works. But what we can do is and also for the colors, right? The colors will be also hard-coded strings. And what I like to do is I just like to create a utils folder and create a file with a theme.ts when I start. And here I want to do like const color, and I will create an object, for example, for the colors. And I will say like, let's do gray. And here I can, yeah, let's get some gray. I will get it from color picker I have on Chrome, and then I just do this. And then, for example, I want a darker gray, so I will get a darker gray. And I do name them. So I will say dark gray, for example. And here I would put, yeah, the color code. So now you have both of them. And in the end, I would say let's export default and then put the color. So here you would see now that you do gray, dark gray. Of course, you can also create like primary color, secondary color, something like that, or just name the color names like gray, dark gray. And this is nice if you align also with your design team, right? Because then you know what color they are thinking about and working on. So then you can use it. Of course, you can also have, yeah, black. For example, let's do black. And I would say and then maybe white. So like this. So here we would get, for example, this, right? A nice other another one that I like to use is color with transparency, because, for example, in this one, you can start by doing like black, and then you do, for example, 50. And in this one, I will put the RGBA, and here I would say like 0, 0, 0, and then dot, yeah, 0.5. So this will be 50% of opacity. And then, for example, you can also create a black 10%, for example. These you could use, for example, for yeah, overlays or black screens that you want to create for yeah, doing these kind of blurred screen when you open, for example, a model or something like that. And then, of course, you can just yeah, put them in order, and then you know that you have a couple of things. And another one nice for some tweaks is to use the transparent color, which would be something like yeah, like here you can do, I think, 0, also 0, 0, and then 0 on opacity. So yeah, but that's one little thing that you can use to do some tweaks on some things that need color, but you cannot put any color, so that you can use a transparent, for example. And yeah, pretty much that's it. So of course you can also do colors, right? Like green, yellow, etc. But yeah, and you start to use that whenever you use a color. So then if you have names for the colors, you just need to, if you want to change that specific color, you just change it here and the whole app will accordingly change, right? So that's much better. Otherwise you need to go, because in the beginning we always think like, oh yeah, we will not use it, or it's still in the MVP process phase or something like that. But then in the end you end up with 10 screens or more and a lot of components all using different colors, different grays or something like that. They seem similar but they are not completely similar. So yeah, that's a nice one to start, because it's an easy one. You just add it here when you need it and you can align with the design team. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So here on the color I would do also this. And another thing that I like to use is a spacing. You can do spacing or something where I would create a function, and these will be used in the margins and paddings. So typically what you want to do is you want to receive a space or something, and here you would say that this one is a number, but I would immediately check for number. Probably do space bigger than 0, because you don't want something that is spaced with a 0. And then number is integer, just to double check that you have a correct spacing. So here I would throw an error and say space needs to be positive integer. And now what I would do is basically you can also create a const where you would say space, and here I would say 8, because typically we use 8. I can put it on the top, so that would be the space or spacing also. And so this will give you, every time that you put a padding, you will use this function. So now I will say space times space that you sent, and I would spacing, and I would return that. Okay, so now with the spacing function, basically you are safeguarded with the space that you can provide. So you need to provide a positive integer, otherwise you will get an error while you are developing, and so you can correct your code base while you do that. But now you know that every time, for example, if I provide a 1 year, I know that I will get an 8, right? If you provide a 2, you will get 16. So in this case, all your paddings and margins will be multiples of 8, or whatever spacing you define here. And this is nice because it will make your designs really aligned in a way, so very balanced in a way. So of course the spacing, it's debatable, whatever. Maybe your design team has some ideas around that, but typically you can use 8, which is nice spacing. And pretty much that's it. So then you have the color with transparency, and then you have the spacing function that you are also exporting. So, and you can use the spacing and the color, and throughout your app you will always be a little bit more consistent with instead of using these padding horizontal 24, margin top 32, whatever. As you see, they are also using multiples of 8, but that way you kind of have a way to pretty much be sure that you use that. And another thing that you want also to do is regarding the font sizes. So on the font, I would say you can do the same. So, right. So font, here I would create another. And then, yeah, in the beginning, maybe you want to follow something like this, like 12. And then 14, you do 14 or something like that. But maybe a nice one also is to say like title, and then all your titles can also have yeah, for example, imagine that your titles will be 16, something like that. So then you can also do yeah, subtitle, right? And these names also yeah, maybe the subtitle will be 2 or something like that. And yeah, these names can also be used as these ones, right, as the colors. So you align the names, and of course, every time you have a title, you know that, yeah, I need to put a title. So you can also basically align these with your design team. And so, yeah, this is a nice one approach, because then you know that you need to use title or subtitle, and you don't care about the numbers. And if for some reason your team changes, or the design team wants now the titles to be 18 or something, then you just change it here, and all of a sudden all your app is according to this number, right? If you follow the F12 or F14, this is a little bit trickier, because you would need to change. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to just change this to 16, for example, and affect all F12s, because then you would assume that font.f12 should be 12, right? It doesn't make that much sense. Of course, what you can also do in here is, okay, just change for F16 or something, and then use 16. But then in all your code base, you need to provide new a new use a new constant, right? So the F16, for example, if you want to change to 16. But in here, if you want a title, for example, to change to 18, you can do it. And only in cases that you want to change, like for a different size, you would create a, yeah, I don't know, but a subtitle, for example, or something, or title title details screen or something like that, for example. And then here you would put the yeah, the 15, for example, which would, yeah, which would only affect the title detail screen. And of course, then you can also do something like if you want to do after use more 15s, for example, you can put a constant on here, right on the top, some const, and then use it for multiple places, like titles detail screen, or titles yeah, item screen or something like that, right? So then you could reuse it. But yeah, but the naming part, I think it's pretty cool, and advantages. And again, you would need also to do something like font here, right? So yeah, how would these work on yeah, so now we have the spacing, the color with transparency, font. I think this pretty much gets you going, because that's pretty much what you need to use on sizings, right? And yeah, this one is a nice start. You start to build it slowly. As you want to add something, you think about it a bit. It will save you some time in the future. And how do you use it? So pretty much what I would do is, yeah, here, for example, I would do import team from, and then let's do utils, right? Utils, and then team. So now I can come here. So for example, in this one, margin top, we know that the margin top is this one probably. So I would say team dot spacing, and then 32, right? Yes, I think it was 32. So 5, right? And no, 4, sorry. 4, 32. So yeah, then if I come here, space needs to be positive integer. Oh, wait. What am I doing wrong? Oh, yeah. Not bigger, but yeah, if you want to, you just want to maybe 1, right? So you want to throw the error if it's, yeah, smaller than 1, and also if it's not an integer, right? That's the trick. Okay, cool. So if I restart, now I should see the same margins. If I want to do more margin, let me see if that's the place where it's affected. Like I will do 8, and now you have yeah, a bigger margin. But the good thing is that you know the spacings, so then you just think about spacings. Like 2, it will be 16, 3 will be 24, etc. So yeah, pretty much that's it. But and in this case, all your margins, all of your styles will contain these pointers, so team spacing, and then if I want to put, yeah, let's say background color, for example, I would do the same, right? So team dot color, and then dot, let's do dark gray, for example. Now if I go there, we have a section with the dark gray, and all of them apply. So yeah, cool. And then if I want just a gray, for example, I would just swap it, and then I can restart, and it's yeah, a little bit less dark color. Okay, another thing that I want to also add here is the const z index. So this one is also a nice one to take a look. And this will be also an object. And every time you use a z index, you want to kind of have a, like not a priority, but a stack, right? So for example, I want to do something like a status bar or something like that, where I would, for example, have a 10. And then all of them are related with one another. So for example, if I want to create, yeah, a snack bar, for example, component, and I want it to be, yeah, positioned absolute, all of that, then I would use a snack bar here. And I know that my status bar, for example, is 10. So if I want to scroll my snack bar, as we showed in a previous video, from the top to the bottom in the top of the screen, I would put here an 11, for example, right? So now I know that the status bar is below the snack bar. And so these would be nice, because then you have kind of, then you can have also an overlay, for example. This could be maybe a 9 if you wanted to show below status bar and below snack bar, right? Or not affect these two things. And the overlay will be the, like the black screen that you put when you open a modal, right? For example, the black screen below that modal. So these ones is really nice also, because every time you need to do these components that are using z indexes, you can just refer to the snack bar z index or the status bar z index and the overlay z index. And of course, don't care about this number, because the number itself can always change, right? The only thing that you need to maintain is the order. So the snack bar needs to be higher than status bar, for example. So then you always need this, but I can just do this, right? That's fine. So the numbers that, and even if, for example, this is 11 and I have another, like for example, message or something like that that I want to display every time, I can also say here like, oh, 10.2. Yeah, that's not nice, right? So what you would do is like 11, and then this one you grow to 12, and all of your z indexes are already okay, right? Of course, you can also use bigger numbers like 100 or whatever. But yeah, you get the point. So the number doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that if the number is higher or lower, lower than the previous one, like the message or status bar, right? Because they need to maintain the order. So if you keep like this, it will also save you time, because sometimes we use these hard-coded numbers, and then you need to find out why the hell my snack bar component is below something, top bar, for example, or something like that. And then you have different z indexes everywhere. So if you always keep them here, then you can reason about really easy on them, and also you can change the numbers, orders, and also introduce here a new one as I showed you with the message. So yeah, pretty much that's it. Of course, don't forget, you should do something like the index, or even if you want to do all capitals, maybe you would do something like this just because you can. Perfect. So now you should have your team.ts file ready, and it should get you going. I hope that you save some time, and of course, feel free to extend it with other functions, other consts, or other util files. I hope you had a nice 2022. Enjoy 2023. See you next year. Of course, if you have questions or thoughts, please leave them in the comments down below. And if you want, and if this content is helping you, please consider smashing the like button or the subscribe button. Till next time, keep in the loop.